Alright guys, so I'm going to be just doing a kind of a quick video on notching. This will kind of lead into eccentrics. So I've just got a really basic freeform here. I haven't spent much time with symmetry or uniformity really. And this is just to show that really you can do all that stuff later on, and you don't need to make a perfect freeform to make an eccentric. So anyways, I've had a lot of people ask about notching videos specifically, so I figure I'll give that a shot today. So one of the first things I like to try and do is draw my notches on. Usually I do so with a pencil, but this glass doesn't really accept that, and I don't seem to have a Sharpie out here today, so I guess we'll just kind of get into it. I really like to figure out where I want to notch and then recognize the shape of the notches that I'm after. So a lot of the time you're going to have an expanding notch, and a lot of guys will try and start that thin and then widen it out progressively as they go. I tend to not. I tend to do the whole notch, just one width, and then I open it up. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and start notching. A lot of people probably want to see the edge geometry here. I describe it as poor edge geometry right now, but it won't really matter. So I'm going to go ahead and just run a notch up the center of this. I start a lot of my eccentrics that way. I'm trying to find the pad that I do like to notch on, because that is at least one thing I can't really compromise with. It's a good notching pad. Well, it's ran away. We'll make do. Okay, so I like to have some kind of solid pad, no flex in it, and ideally I don't have a flaking groove up the center of it, but I'm just going to work off to the side here. So this is my notcher. There are many like it. This one is mine. It is a size 12 Cape Well horseshoe nail for draft horse feet. Okay, and it's just simply set into a Delrin plastic handle with set screws. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to look at my notch here, where I'm trying to go. I saw recently my buddy Jeff Burr made a really nice king's head eccentric, and it got me kind of wanting to make a face this time in a rock. So we'll see what we do with this piece. It may end up having some facial features. So right now I'm just parallel with the edge. I might have a slight upward angle towards the piece. And I'm just trying to flick those flakes. Really get them to cone out away from the notch there. So now I've got a new platform set up to flake that direction. So I just place my flaker right there, flick a flake off of it. And I just do this over and over and over until I get to the back of whatever kind of notch I want to make. Hope I'm able to focus this for you guys. It's not exactly an easy thing to film. So my nail is too long. It's starting to bend on me here. And one of the worst things you can have happen in a uniform notch like this is to have your tool bend while you're inside of it. And it does two things against you. It takes energy from the flake you're trying to remove, and it also gives an opportunity for that flaker to touch one of the entrances of your notch. You can pop those corners off pretty quickly. So anyways, I just tidied that up a bit, shortened it down. Now maybe a good time to go ahead and sharpen my flaker. It'll give me a chance to show you guys how I like my flaker to look. Okay, so you can see I've got kind of an X-Acto shape to it. Straight spine up to the point. And I'm notching with the back edge of this coming towards you like that. Find where it was on my rock again here. Try and keep going. That's much better. I can already tell I have better leverage doing that. And so now I'm at a point where I can be more aggressive. I have a lot more distance between the back of the notch and the frontal notch where I'm notching. I also have a lot more thickness as I move into the body of this point. And so I don't really mind if that notch starts widening out from me taking big gouging flakes, because ultimately I'm trying to make a teardrop shaped notch here anyways. So I'm just trying to dig as far in here as I can before the piece stops me. And then I can start opening it up and making new platforms, attacking it from other angles. So like I say, you can really kind of go crazy with your notching the further in you get here, especially in a big central notch like this. We're not planning on putting another notch next to it, anything like that. At least not parallel next to it. One of my least favorite things about the obsidian is it sticks into your hands as you're going. That still bent my flaker. We're starting to get to a spot where I'm having to put a lot of force into this piece. Let's see, I'm hoping you guys are able to see me. Okay, so this flaker is just not holding up to it, and that tells me I'm going to have to switch over to a stronger flaker now. So this is welding rod. It's a tougher steel, and it's thicker at the base here, which gives it more rigidity. It's going to get the exact same shape, that kind of X-Acto shape. We'll give that a shot. So now would be an appropriate time to start opening up our notch. It's starting to get thicker in the back of this notch here. One of my favorite ways to do that is to just come down in from the top, and you can punch flakes out, and you'll watch this notch is going to open up real quick. So we're starting to make it teardrop shaped. That's all we're really going for here, is just showing how to make a big open notch like this. That's one of the fundamentals of making the eccentrics, is being able to make a large expanding notch. So you can see we're starting to get teardrop shaped. We're just going to keep opening it from there. I think we'll come back from underneath, do our normal flaking again.
particular obsidian is a bit finicky with how it likes to flake. Okay. So we're driving long flakes down into the body of the point here. Now, we're trying to reduce the mass as we go forward. You don't ever want to create beveling flakes where you get a steep edge inside of here. That is why your notches will stall, is because you've essentially created too obtuse of an angle to flake against anymore. So now a lot of this is very similar to standard edge flint knapping, with the occasional overhand punching flakes like so. Everything else really kind of follows the same rules. You're considerate of your center line. And try not to flake from above it too bad. There are occasions where it's necessary, but I'd say generally you don't need to flake from above center. So already we have like a keyhole shaped notch. You could make it teardrop by just gently taking out the rest of these corners. I want to make it a bit deeper, and I can show you guys how to do that. So just flaking it like it's a normal arrowhead now. Grabbing the edge and flaking forward. Just standard pressure flakes from this back surface now. This is a spot where you can be almost as aggressive as you'd like, as long as you don't wrap flake up and over one of these ears and you direct all of your flaking inwards like so. You're in a pretty good spot. So I could realistically carve this all the way down if I wanted to. There's really no reason why I couldn't, but for now I'm just trying to show you guys how to do this, and ultimately my goal is to kind of put some chief's heads up here and then some more unique notching down here. So I'll kind of finish this notch out. I might stop the video and start up another one where I'm, doing some more in-depth work again. But anyways, this is the idea. I'll go ahead and finish the depth of this notch that I want. And for anyone watching, it may be beneficial for you to try and zoom in on me. I know YouTube has the zoom in feature. So unfortunately, I don't have a good way to get my perspective while doing this for you guys, so forgive me for that. I know Jack Crafty does a pretty good job of showing how to do a lot of this stuff from his perspective. If you guys want to ever head over to his channel, it's all first person, which is pretty neat. So you can see we're just working our way up in here. You can see I call these flower flakes as when I'm doing these eccentrics, because these all look like petals. You'll notice if you're doing it right, your flaking will all radiate away from the center, the big radius. And so the center point would be here. Flakes go this way, this way, this way. So it's important that you thin the edges as much as you're thinning the center as well. I'm actually going to switch my pad to the other side. I'm far enough away from the entrance of this notch now, being almost half an inch, 3/4 of an inch away from the back edge here. I just set this into my pad like I'm going to take a standard pressure flake. I'm going to grab that edge and just flake forward from here. You could do this on a rubber pad, but the concern is that it flexes. And this is really a technique that relies on the piece not flexing. Like I said, this obsidian's a little weird. Some of its flakes don't exactly finish out nicely. So what you're seeing me do there is just clearing those previous flakes out so that my next ones don't stop where they had stopped. Okay, so I'd say that's a pretty good notch to give you guys a reference here. It's about 3/4 of an inch. It's kind of teardrop shaped. I'll probably clean these ears up real quick. But sometimes it's kind of fun to leave that little narrow entrance there. Anyways, so that's kind of the basics of your eccentric notching. Like I said, you could do this indefinitely. There's a new edge set up right there. You just flake in, create a new platform, and alternate. But anyways, that's the start of an eccentric there. And if you can get that figured out, it's that over and over and over until you make a pattern. So thanks for watching, guys.